Good evening, fourth grade friends. It's Mrs. Fox here. I'm going to be teaching the first lesson in chapter 21. This is lesson 21.1 called Choose Appropriate Units. And we're going to be talking this week about measuring in the United States Standard Units. So open up those notebooks and be ready to take notes. Here we go. There are actually two ways to measure in the world. In the United States, we use the U.S. standard units, but the rest of the world, they measure in a system called the metric system. So for the purpose of this week, we're really going to be focusing on the U.S. standard units. There's several ways to measure using the U.S. standards of measurement. We can measure the length of something, which means how long it is, and we often use a ruler. We can also measure the capacity, and that's how much you can fill up a container, like in this picture here. We can measure weight, which is how heavy something is, and we can also measure the temperature. Today, we're going to be focusing on length. The first unit of measurement for measuring length is inches, and inches is our smallest form of measurement in the U.S. standard measurement system. An inch measures from about your knuckle to the edge of your thumb, or about the size of a small paper clip. You would measure small things with inches, like the length of your pencil or the width of your desk. So small things are measured in inches. The next unit of measurement in the U.S. standard measurement system is foot, but also referred to as feet. And a foot is longer than an inch. In fact, it's 12 inches long. And you'll notice on your ruler, a ruler goes to about 12 inches, and that is exactly 1 foot. And you can see in this picture, I'm holding my hands out. They're about shoulder width apart, which shows about 1 foot. So when you're trying to measure something in feet, and something that's quite often measured in feet is the height of a person, or how tall a door is, or how wide a classroom is. The next American Standard measurement we're going to be talking about is the yard, and a yard is actually bigger than a foot. It's 3 feet, in fact, and it's much larger than an inch, which is actually 36 inches. And don't confuse this yard with the kind that you have in the backyard with grass on it. This is what we use to measure long distances, such as a field. You might even have heard the word yard a lot when people talk about football. A football field from field goal to field goal measures exactly 100 yards. That's why people often say the 50-yard line is the very best place to sit at a football game, because you're sitting right in the middle. So each line on the football field represents 10 yards. And you can see about how wide a yard is if you look at this picture. It's definitely wider than my body, so I'm holding my hands pretty far apart, and I'm holding it right at 36 inches. The next unit of measurement is by far the largest, definitely larger than yards, way larger than feet, and much larger than inches. If you're going to be measuring something in miles, you're measuring something far off in the distance. So you'll see the picture of me looking way far away in the distance. So if we were going to measure how far Reedy Creek is from the Oceanside Pier, that actually measures to 23 miles. So that's a pretty far distance, which is why we measure in miles. The next step in the lesson is to really have a good understanding of which one is the smallest to the largest when talking about length in the U.S. standard measurement system. So I have a little song to help us remember this. So sing along with me if you start to understand the words. So it's simple, and it goes like this. Inches, feet, yard and mile, inches, feet, yard and mile, inches, feet, yard and mile, measuring length in American Standard System. Now I'm going to share with you the need-to-know info. You're going to need to know this little bit of information I'm about to share with you, and I highly suggest writing this down in your notes. So you need to know that 1 foot equals 12 inches. So think about a ruler. A ruler is 12 inches, which represents a foot. 1 yard is 3 feet. 1 yard is also 36 inches. 1 mile is 1,760 yards, and 1 mile is also 5,280 feet. Hopefully you were able to write that last slide down in your notes, but I also would like this to be written down in your notes as well. And today I want you to solve all of the odd numbers in your math notebook. Go ahead and rate your understanding for today's lesson for measuring in length in the American Standard System. Are you feeling ready to be challenged? Are you getting it? Or do you need some more practice with this? All right, everyone, have a good evening. Goodbye.